Audacity in three, two, one. Did you sort yours?
I have now.
Okay, now pause for like 5 seconds just so we could get some blink audio. And then let's clap. In three, two, one. And we're live. Hello, everybody. And hello, Dane.
Hey,
My
buddy.
friend. My companion. My
Elek Batoczki.
my lucha libre.
Yes, welcome everybody. This is episode 5 of the Co-op Zone. Hope everybody had a nice break and holidays season and New Year's. How was your time, Elek?
It was pretty good. I haven't really done anything for New Year's in the past couple of years. Usually just watching a movie, usually a Jim Carrey movie, and just lay in bed and eat some food. But this time we actually went out and hung out with some friends, did some drinking, had some fun. It's pretty good.
All right. Yeah, I typically don't really make New Year's that big of a deal either. Um, maybe once in a while I'll go see fireworks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I typically don't do much. So just relax with the girlfriend, just chilled. But it does bring me to a little story that I'd like to say
Ooh.
for New Year's Eve. So on Tuesdays, those are typically the days where my girlfriend and I will go and see a movie because the theater that we like, they do $5 ticket days every Tuesday,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all day. So it's $5 for all tickets, and you don't really have to, be a part of anything. You just get $5 tickets. So that's typically when we go and see movies. So she texted me earlier that day, and she's like, "All right, what do you want to see?" And I'm like, "Hey, Jumanji 2 is out," and I enjoyed the first one, which a lot of people completely ignore the fact that it's not the original and have no idea that it actually started with Robin Williams, which is a shame because that one's a good movie. But moving on. So we decided to see Jumanji 2, and she texts me back and she says, "All right, uh, I think it was like 5:35 or
Uh-huh.
something was the show time." So I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I'm waiting for her. She gets to my place, and we start driving to the theater. And we're a little scared that we're not going to make it on time, but everything seems okay, and we already have the tickets and the seats and everything. So we start looking for a spot to park, get into the theater, and the very first theater was displaying Cats, and I looked at it and I was like, "That's funny." I was like, "We're going to see Cats, right?" And then like we both joked because it was a funny joke because like who would go see Cats?
Right.
So I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna go to the bathroom first. So I go to the bathroom, and then I go back to her, and she was waiting outside, and we start heading back to the front of the theater, and there's that only theater is in the front of the theater, the one with Cats. And I was like, oh, so she's playing a joke on me now. So we start walking towards it, and I'm just like laughing. I'm like, haha. But we're going to be late for the movie because like we're approaching the start time.
Yeah.
And then we actually start walking into the theater. And I was like, man, she was really dedicated on this joke. She's actually going into the theater with Cats in it. And then we actually like sat down in seats, and I was just like, oh god, I don't think she's joking anymore. And that's the story of how I saw all of Cats. All right, so let me get started on Cats.
She bought
So
tickets for Cats and you didn't know it? You thought it was for Jumanji?
correct.
Okay, I thought it was maybe a mistake.
Nope, I got bamboozled, Elek.
That's a
What
bamboozle if I
what
ever heard one.
Yeah, one of the worst bamboozles that can happen.
Well, tell me,
Like,
Dan, was it worth the bamboozle?
so here's the thing. To laugh at 100%. But like entertainment wise, like just no. Just no. Any of you who haven't seen it, leave it that way. That you shouldn't see it. Um So here's the thing. I get what they were trying to do. I had never seen Cats, so this is my first experience at all with Cats. And it was not a good one in any way. So just the moment it starts off, you just can't help but just like laugh the whole time because of how weird and like oddly creepy it looks.
Yeah.
Like all they had to do was make it so they were just animated cats. Like they could have done the exact same thing but with actual cat faces and just had the voices from all these actors and actresses. But
Yeah.
instead they were like, hey, let's put James Corden's body on a really fat cat. And you're just like, oh, what? It's just weird. It's really weird. And then they're all doing like cat movements and like licking themselves, and it's really strange. And
Was
so
this
it's
a
like,
big budget
okay,
movie? I'm assuming it must have been a huge budget.
yeah, I think the movie lost like 100 million or something crazy because no one went and saw it. But and that's the thing, is that like they put so much effort into like CGI to make the cats look realistic and stuff,
Uh,
but it was kind of strange because they tried to make the proportions correct in terms of like real world sizing. So they're all cats.
right.
So it's not like they're human size. They're like literally small. So when they're like going up and down steps and dancing, like they're having to hop from step to step and stuff.
Uh-huh.
But it wasn't always consistent. So one moment they look really small, and then like the next moment they're dancing on a railway for trains, and they're all of a sudden like tiny, like really small.
Right.
And then in the next moment, like they seem kind of bigger. So it was just very strange, like the sizing and stuff, and that was kind of throwing me off. Then again, they were also human cats, so you're kind of thrown off from the moment it starts. And it's a musical, so I was like, okay, maybe like at least the songs are good and redeem it because it's such a famous, musical, that it's got to have good music because of that. And the last musical I saw was The Greatest Showman. That was a really good movie, and the music was great, the acting was great. I really enjoyed it. So it's not like just because it's a musical I'm going to hate it.
Right.
I couldn't understand a word from any of these songs. I had no idea what they were singing about or even what they were saying.
You didn't even know they were
Literally,
singing.
the first 20 minutes of the movie, I whispered to Jess, I was like, I have no idea what's going on. It's just a bunch of human cats just dancing around the whole time, and I don't even know why. I could like the chorus on some of them I could like understand, but then that was it.
So, but were any of them good?
So there were probably two songs. There's a song that's like "Memories All Alone in the Moonlight," which I didn't even know that was from Cats.
Oh,
I just
didn't
knew
know
that was like
either.
a famous song. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, cool. Because I always throw that back to
School of Rock.
School of Rock
Yeah.
when what's her name? Cosgrove.
Yeah, I don't know her name.
Miranda Cosgrove starts singing it randomly, and then Jack Black like tells her to stop. And I've like been singing that part for like years, and then all of a sudden it started being sang in the movie, and I was like, oh, cool. I guess I know where that's from now. But other than that, there was like one tap dancing song that was only cool because it involved tap dancing, and tap dancing is kind of cool.
Yeah, I love tap dancing.
Other than that, Taylor Swift was in it, and she sang a song. Her song was okay, but I'd say it was one of the better songs because I could actually understand every word that she said in it. So there's that, and Idris Elba was in it, and he played like a bad guy, but you didn't really know why he was bad or why it mattered, and it just kind of seemed like a side thing. It didn't really seem to affect much of the story. And we get out of it, and my girlfriend's like, oh, so it's about the story of the cats, and they're trying to give one extra life to an extra cat, and it's essentially like the cat going to heaven, I think. And they were like, the whole thing is they have a talent show, and then whoever wins the talent show gets that extra life. And I was like, I did not catch on to that at all. I was like, thank you for seeing part of that for me and like realizing what's going on, because I couldn't get it. I had no idea what was happening. And the other thing that I really couldn't stand was most musicals, in between their songs, like there's actual like dialogue, you know?
Uh-huh.
Like people actually have a conversation with each other and stuff,
Yeah.
and then you use songs to progress the story.
Yeah.
This was
Whole musical. Uh-huh.
song. There was literally maybe a paragraph of dialogue in the entire movie.
Sick.
It just moves from song to song, and the songs weren't that great in my opinion. So I was just like, oh my god, it just went from song to song. Like the song would end, and then the main cat would like leave the area, go check out something else, meet some new people, and I was like, all right, she'll have a conversation with them, and they introduce themselves in a song. I'm like, ugh.
Well, was that how the play was too? I don't know if you would know.
So I haven't seen the play, so that's why I'm not entirely sure.
Mm-hmm.
But the same guy that wrote Cats also wrote Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
And that's my girlfriend's favorite play. And
Is she into plays?
she said that one even had more dialogue and stuff in between the songs, and she thought it was strange that this one had just straight songs the whole time. And she hadn't seen Cats either.
Okay.
She just liked the guy that made it because he made Phantom of the Opera.
Right.
And then it got even weirder, right? So there's human faces on the cats. And then they introduce some mice, and the mice have human faces on them too, dude. And they were like children, so it was really creepy. All these little children's faces on these tiny little mice. And then they have cockroaches, and the cockroaches are humans, dude. It was so weird. I was just like, who thought of this?
That's very interesting.
The movie would have... What?
Who directed it?
I can't remember. But it had such a great cast.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was just literally thrown away, because if they just made the exact same thing but without the human faces on it, it would have been much more like easy to watch and not as polarizing. Or if they just literally made an animated movie, but everyone is still voiced and sung by all the famous actors and actresses.
Yeah,
I feel like it easily
would
have been a point or two higher.
Yeah.
But it's just so off-putting the whole time that it's just weird and strange, and you don't really get used to it by the end either. It just continues to be weird.
It was a horror movie, an unexpected horror movie.
Basically. And I only watched it because I had to. I was like, hey, let me know if you want a drink or something in the middle of the movie. I'll gladly go out and get you something. Like, I never walk out of movies to go to the bathroom. Like, if I pay for that movie, like, I'm gonna sit that whole way through.
This is a movie where you're like, I need to go to the bathroom even if I don't have to.
Basically, he was like, hey, I'm gonna go get some snacks. You want anything? I'm gonna get in the car, go to McDonald's, go get some food, bring it back. Anything you want, let me know. And there was this little girl sitting behind us, and every time a song would come to an end, she would just start clapping like we were at an actual play. It was so funny. But yeah, I was not the biggest fan of it. Maybe like even if like the storyline, because that's the thing, right? If the storyline and everything wasn't in music, maybe I would have understood what was going on more. Mm-hmm. But because everything is explained in songs, and I couldn't really understand the songs very well, I had no idea what was going on. So even just adding dialogue to progress some of the story parts would have helped a little bit. But the movie could have been better without the weird look. But I would not recommend it. It's not a very enjoyable time, in my opinion. And I'm sure none of you have seen it, so keep it that way.
Is it one of the worst movies you've seen in a while?
In theaters, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I'm trying to think of the last bad movie I saw.
Because I typically won't. I
Probably
typically
Star
see
Wars.
movies that get like decent reviews. Yeah, but that's different, right? Because like you're going to see that regardless of the
Yeah.
reviews.
Yeah.
Whereas this is just like, oh, maybe I was interested in Cats, but then like they said it was really bad, so you're like, eh. And listen to them. Listen to the reviews on that one, guys. Don't go see it.
Well,
I would
damn, I guess I
probably
gotta
give it
go return my tickets now.
You can't return your tickets, Elek. I'm sorry.
Shit.
You have to go now. Might as well just stay home.
Yeah, might as well just, stay home.
Or give them to like a homeless person. That would be nice.
Give them to a cat.
Give them to. Oh my God, that reminds me. They made so many cat puns, and I'm just like, no, stop.
You've got to be
Like,
kidding me.
They'd be like, "Oh, cat got your tongue." I'm like, "Oh my God, stop it!
Shut up.
Just don't, just don't." And it was the whole movie too.
That's so funny.
There was one part where one of the cats is like locked up, and then she's sitting there for like half the movie chained up, and then at the end of the movie suddenly decides to just unzip her cat suit, and she's just like a cat underneath her cat suit, but she's wearing like a dress, so she's able to get out because she like slides out of the cat suit. And I was just like, why have you been sitting here for half the movie if you can just unzip your cat suit and get out of it?
Why?
And now all of a sudden you're just like, not tied up anymore. Like, you could have done that immediately. Why'd you wait this long to do this? It wasn't like, oh, suddenly you got a power or you found a key or something like that.
Right.
You could have done this the whole time.
So she's a cat wearing a cat suit?
It's hard to explain.
Yeah. Was that a life? Does everybody have 9 cat suits?
No, see, that would make the movie too cool if like they actually put thought into that stuff. Which, I mean, if they're going off the source material, again, I haven't seen it, so maybe it's very like direct from the source material. It just looks weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never seen Cats, but wasn't the biggest fan of it. So first impression of Cats, not good.
No bueno.
Not good.
Oh, good, because I don't need to watch it.
You shouldn't. I can't remember the last movie that I've literally seen in theaters where I was like, that was terrible.
I'll wait till it goes on Netflix and then kind of stream through it and see all the funny bits.
Yeah, watch the first like 10 minutes and then just laugh at it, and then that's the rest of the movie. You have to watch the part where they meet like the fat cat.
Yeah. I want to see the cockroaches, honestly. So I saw pictures of the cats, and I'm like, those are already weird. But cockroaches and mice?
Yeah, it's in that same scene where they meet the fat cat, which is in the beginning.
Okay.
It's like after the first song. They see her, and then she starts the second song. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, she has her legs up in the air. And you're just like thinking of a human, because there's a human face, and her legs are up in the air, just like licking herself. And I'm just like, how is that? Like, that doesn't look suitable for kids, first of all.
Yeah, it wasn't
because
rated.
They have human. It was rated, I think, PG.
Whoa.
It's a kid-friendly movie, and I was just like, if they didn't have human faces on it, then yeah, sure, that's funny because like animals lick themselves, haha. But like it's an actual human like licking themselves down there. I was just like, this is weird. Yeah.
They just straight up have them fucking. It's okay. It's just animals. It's not real.
Oh man. Yeah, rated PG for animal sex. Yeah, that was strange. I think that's pretty much all I have to say about Cats, though. I don't know if I want to talk about it anymore. It's been almost 20 minutes talking about Cats, so I think that's enough.
That's more than enough for Cats.
Unless you have any questions that you'd like to ask me about the movie.
Not at the moment.
All right.
I'll get back to you on
that. If you think of any cat stuff, let me know later on.
Oh, I'll let you know.
Any cat puns?
Any cat paws?
Pause.
Overcooked.
Yeah, so wait, what?
I was like, overcooked.
Okay. So now that we got that out of the way, yeah, let's go into basically what we've been playing over the last couple weeks during this break.
All right, I'm done.
So,
Yeah, I forgot to say the one thing that did happen wasn't New Year's, but for Christmas I got a Nintendo Switch Lite.
oh, that's right, guys.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yes, Elek finally got a Switch,
Yeah.
courtesy of your brother.
My brother and his girlfriend, yeah, like the whole family, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
pretty happy about it.
he's now a part of the club.
I am.
Finally,
The Nintendo Club.
it's
I
taken.
haven't had a actual system since the Wii. I skipped on the Wii U. My brother has one.
You mean Nintendo system?
Yeah, Nintendo system. Yeah.
Well, you had a 3DS.
I did have a 3DS. That was a good system.
Yeah, can't forget about that. It's just
Yeah.
gone obsolete because of the Switch now.
Yeah. It's so true.
Yeah. Which I mean makes sense. There's no real point to having it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, technically, like it's smaller, I guess, and has the
More
3D.
portable.
But other than that, like the Switch does everything better and has way more games.
Yeah.
Because that's what was getting annoying was after they released the Switch, and then they're like, "And here's a new 3DS game." You're sitting there just going like, "How about you release that on the Switch instead, or as well?"
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember they made Samus Returns, or sorry, Metroid Samus Returns, and they put that on the 3DS, and people were just like, "Why can't you have just made that for the Switch?"
Yeah. I don't know if we want to talk about actually like reviewing the system, but that's one of the things that I noticed playing the Switch is how bad Nintendo is at porting and bringing games from other systems to their new one.
Okay, so that's a great point. So, guys, we're gonna make another episode, most likely next episode, and we're gonna go all about Alex's experiences with the Switch, since it's his first time owning the console, and what he thinks about it now. And just to clarify, he has the Switch Lite,
Yeah.
so that is the version that he got, the new one.
Yeah. And it's going to be a little bit of a
So
bias because I didn't have to pay for it.
yeah, so there is that. Although it is the cheaper one. Like to be honest, it's pretty cheap, like $200.
I think they got it for cheaper because they got it on Black Friday and they just kind of saved it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because to be honest, what that offers for $200, in my opinion, is a steal.
Yeah.
But we'll get into all the specifics and what Elek thinks about it and stuff, and get into some more Switch talk, including thinking about the rumors recently about a new Switch coming out this year. So we'll dive into that next episode. So be sure to tune in for that because
That's going to be a
that
good
one
episode. Yeah,
will
I'm
be a
looking forward
fun
to
one.
that.
And he has got Zelda as well. So we'll get his opinions on that and just take a deep dive into everything. So moving on from that, going back to what I said before. So what we were playing over the break.
I remember
We'll
you
talk
said
about that.
you were playing Star Wars, right?
Yeah, so I've been playing Overcooked and Star Wars.
Uh-huh.
And
I mean, obviously Overcooked is the better game.
yeah, so let's start with Overcooked. So Overcooked has been out for a while now. I think it came out, like 2016 or 2017.
Mm-hmm.
One of those. And I always thought it looked really fun, but it's a typical like co-op game where it's not that great playing it in single player.
Right.
So, I never got around to it because I didn't have a lot of people to play with locally. And I don't think it doesn't have online multiplayer.
That's
so
weird, but okay. Yeah, why wouldn't they have that?
I don't know. I think it was a pretty small developer when they made the first one.
Uh-huh.
So maybe they just didn't have the resources and stuff. But it is way more fun, like in a room.
Yeah, I bet.
I mean, that's for all co-op games, though, to be honest. All co-op games are better when everyone's in the same room.
Mm-hmm.
And this game's really great with that. So you can play up to 4 players, but I was looking for a game to play with my girlfriend because we beat Donkey Kong. and we still have one more secret level to beat on that before we get like the last island or whatever. But we we're kind of looking for another game. So they had a holiday sale for the Switch, and I'm like, this is a perfect game to have on the Switch. And then also, like, it's just a great game overall to like play specifically, you know, like with your girlfriend or a friend or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got it. It was on sale. I think it was like $6.75 for the special edition, and that comes with the DLCs and all the updates and everything. And Overcooked 2 is out, so this one's kind of old by now. So that's why it was pretty cheap, but definitely worth it. So I'll just start off the bat. I highly recommend this game. It's very fun if you're looking for a co-op game. It's great that it can be played with up to 4 people. I feel like it would be very chaotic with up to 4 people because it's already chaotic with just 2 people. I couldn't even imagine 4 people running around in these kitchens. So it's pretty basic. Each person is a chef, and you have boxes that hold your materials, you know, like lettuce, tomatoes, and stuff. And then there's a cutting board, and then there will be like a pot or a pan or something that you cook stuff on, and then plates, and you have to put everything on the plate, and then you have to deliver it. And then when it's done being delivered, after a little bit of time, they'll send you back a dirty plate, and now you have to go wash that plate to put the next item on it.
Okay.
And they'll have multiple plates and stuff. And it's very chaotic and it's very fun. So it starts off pretty easy. Like you know, like you don't have to get a ton of orders and stuff, and the recipes are pretty basic. So all you have to do is throw some stuff together for a little bit. And each world, so it's kind of like Mario in the sense that they'll do like, you know, 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, and then 2-1, 2-1, 2, or 2-2, 2-3, like that kind of formula.
Wait, for what?
And for the worlds and the levels.
Oh, okay, for sure. Okay, so there's levels. You're not just
yeah.
playing.
And like each world, they're all on the same map, but like each different world will have like a different theme. So like one will be like ice themed, one will be space themed, stuff like that.
Okay.
And I've been having a great time with it. So it starts off pretty simple, but each world they add like a new recipe.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden now you're doing stews, or now you're doing soups, and now they're introducing burritos, and you have to figure out like how you do certain stuff. Like one of the DLCs had turkey dinners, and you get a flamethrower, and you have to cook everything with a flamethrower. So like that was kind of fun, but you can't keep the flamethrower on your back. It's used as an item, so you have to pick it up, put the flamethrower on the turkey and potatoes and stuff and cook it, and then take the flamethrower off, and now you can pick up the stuff and put it on the plate.
Okay.
So you can only hold one thing at the same time, and that applies for everything in the game. So that's what makes it complicated, is when all of a sudden like you pick up something on the left side, but the cutting board is over on the right side, and then you have to go put it in the pot, and the pot needs 3 of those. So you have to figure out the best way to get those into the pot as quickly as possible, because every level has about like a 5-minute time limit or so, and you have to get the points by the end of the time period.
Oh.
And then on the top of the screen, they have all the recipes coming in for what people are ordering, and those are what you have to follow. And the closest ones to the left are the ones that have to go out like sooner. So you're just trying to rush those orders out before the time gets to the end. And it is very chaotic and it's very fun. So the first couple times that like you do each level, you kind of suck at it, and you're like, okay, you know, we need 200 points to beat this level or get 3 stars, but we only got like 70. Right. So what's the best way to do this? And it's like, okay. And then like my girlfriend and I will like strategize and be like, okay, so I'm going to just cut and cook stuff. You get all the materials and put them on the table for me to grab them, and then you wash dishes as well.
So each learn level as you do it over and over and redoing the level.
Exactly.
It's a lot like Dark Souls, if you will.
The Dark Souls of cooking games.
Do you remember that mini game in Mario Party where you have it's 2v2 and you have one person having to grab a cake and the other person having to grab a strawberry, and you have to do it in a specific order, and it gets like faster and faster. Do you know what I'm talking about? Specific mini game in Mario Party. It just kind of reminds me of that. Not really running around grabbing stuff, but
Not entirely, because each Mario Party has like 100 games.
yeah. I don't know why, but like that one always stood out to me because the cakes always looked really good.
Well, that's what made me wonder. Like after playing this, I was like, this game would work great with desserts,
Oh yeah, definitely.
like a dessert version, and then everything you just like bake it afterwards and then put it on a plate and serve it. Um, I haven't played Overcooked 2, so I don't know if they added desserts into Overcooked 2.
Uh-huh.
But this has made me really want to get Overcooked 2 because this one has just been so fun. And most of the times we don't get, so there's 1 star, 2 star, and 3 stars that you get at the end of the level, depending on how many points you get. And we typically don't get 3 stars right off the bat, but we never moved on to the next level without mastering that one and getting all 3 stars.
Okay.
So we got pretty good at it. And just each level, like literally, sometimes like you'll start, like you'll only get 50 and you need 200 points, let's say. And then you start getting better and slowly getting closer to the 200. And then once you master it, there's some levels where like we'll just come in at like 300 and you needed 200 in order to get 3 stars. And like, we're just like, there we go. Like once you find the perfect formula for each kitchen, it's just great.
Yeah.
And like it really is kind of like a puzzle game, like trying to figure out exactly how to make these orders and get them out as quickly as possible and cleaning and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, highly recommend it. I had a great time with Overcooked. We're pretty much done with it. On the very last level of the last DLC, we got 1 star, and then we got really hungry. So we stopped playing to eat some pizza.
Dude, that's what you do.
Yeah, which is great because you make pizzas.
Oh, that's so
So like
good.
the game kind of makes you hungry as you're playing it. You're like, oh man, that sounds really good right now, making a pizza.
I could see them doing DLCs like Taco Bell DLC. It's a whole level of just Taco Bell.
Dude, that'd be awesome. You're like in a Taco Bell.
Yeah, dude.
You got like Crunch Wraps coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah,
Like that could be a whole thing, like having to like fold the Crunch Wraps
Oh my god.
and then put it in that little that heater thing that you like stamp down on it. It's like a waffle maker but flat.
They could do a whole DLC with just fast food joints.
They could. You do burgers as well, so McDonald's could slide in there.
And when
You
you're
do
doing
salads.
like a versus,
You do burritos. You could throw in Chipotle.
you could do a versus and it'd be McDonald's versus Burger King.
Oh, dude, yeah.
The possibilities are endless here.
It really is. But it would work great with desserts too. Like the
Yeah.
whole time, it's just like this would be awesome with sweets, like making little cupcakes or baking cakes and pies and stuff.
It's a shame though, because that's easily one of the games that I could play with Jolie. And I can't. We'll get into that in the next episode.
Yeah, because it's that light,
That light.
that light life.
Oh, that's good because my brother.
The light life says, "I like myself and no one else." You want to play with me? Too bad.
But my brother had kind of the same feeling.
Does he have a regular Switch?
He has a regular Switch,
Okay.
but he has Overcooked as well, and that's what's called, right? Overcooked. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know if he has the first one or second one?
First one. He plays it with his girlfriend too. I don't know how far he is in it, but he says it's a good, fun little game to pick up every, like when she's over, just pick it up, do a couple levels.
Yeah, it literally feels like a game that would be made by Nintendo.
Yeah.
100%. Like, and that's why like I got it on the Switch because it's totally that type of game where like you get on an airplane and you just hand the Joy-Con to the person next to you and you're like, hey, let's let's cook some stuff.
Yeah.
Let's get cooking. So, yeah, I'm excited for the second one because I know that they added some cool features to the second one. I can't remember what exactly.
Uh-huh.
There were times where I would have loved to throw stuff, like throw things from like
Across the
me
kitchen.
to my girlfriend, or be able to like hand something that I'm holding to my girlfriend, or vice versa. Whereas you have to set something down, and then you have to, then someone has to pick it up and stuff. So there are definitely some improvements that they could make that would make it more fun, and not necessarily like easier, but just like more cohesive.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure they made some of those updates. So I'm excited to eventually get the second one and see how that turns out. We have had issues though with the infamous, what seems to be Joy-Con drift, where
you're
the
not
left
moving.
thumbstick, you're not touching it,
Uh-huh.
but it moves, or like you are touching it, but it's moving in the wrong direction. So I
Yeah.
use a Switch Pro controller,
Okay.
greatest controller that you could possibly have for the Switch. If you don't have one and you play on the TV, what are you doing? Go purchase one. And my girlfriend is playing with the grip with the two Joy-Cons slid down onto it.
Uh-huh.
And because I don't play with them that often, ever since I got my Switch, I never really noticed like issues with it. And it seems that she had some issues with it. Like she'd go and like try to pick up something, and like the time is crunching down, and then all of a sudden like she just can't pick it up because her character is facing the other way and stuff.
Oh,
And it
that's so
got like
annoying.
kind of annoying, or like it walked her off the edge, and now every time you die in the game or like fall into water or something like that, now you got to wait 5 seconds for you to respawn.
Oh god.
And if you're holding like a completed dish and you fall in the
Ruined.
water, you lose the whole dish as well. And then you basically have to restart the level, because a lot of times like you'll literally get 3 stars with the last dish like being turned in at the last second.
Uh-huh.
So
Is that an issue with the Joy-Cons itself? Because I don't think we had that issue with the light. At least not yet.
The light shouldn't, because the light doesn't even use Joy-Cons.
Okay.
Like it's a different controller, because it's just one system.
Right.
And I'm sure like they might have fixed this. So I think they did some like lawsuit, and then they said they would replace them if you like send it in or something like that. So I think I might do that now. It just sucks that I'll have to lose it, for a week or two, or however long it takes them.
Right. But you don't even use them, you use the controller.
But when I play games with my girlfriend, like she's going to use it, so I'd like that to be fixed.
How much are those controllers?
Really expensive.
Yeah.
I think they're $70, $70 or $80 for a pair.
Jeez.
And then if you buy one of them, I think it's $50.
Because I'm wondering if it's worth getting one so that Julie can play games and then I use the actual Switch.
And that would be very difficult.
Yeah, because my hand would be in the way.
Because your hands would be in the way, and then you might like turn, and then she can't see the screen.
Yeah.
You could find a way to maybe like stand the Switch light up.
But then I would need 2 controllers.
And then get 2 controllers, yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait for the next episode, dude.
Yeah. Well, that leads us into that one. So, yeah, great game. Recommend Overcooked. Awesome co-op game. Super fun. You get better as you go, and they continue to challenge you with some levels. Some levels, like, honestly, are really difficult, and it kind of just gets annoying, and you're just like, man, I just want to move on to the next level. But then, like, once you do finally get 3 stars on it, you just feel so accomplished, and you're like, yeah. Like, some literally feel like, how am I ever going to get 300 points when we got 80 points in this first one? But then you just start to conquer it and feel great. So, 2 thumbs up for Overcooked. Go get it. Should I move into Star Wars, or do you want to talk about a game that you've played?
Well, the one that I played,
Other than Zelda. we'll save Zelda for the next one.
Yeah, Zelda's the big one. Um, Hold on.
Hodor.
I think my laptop just pooped on me. No, it's still on. My screen just pooped on me. That's very weird. Okay, so I have a screen connected to my laptop, and it moved everything to my TV monitor, but my laptop monitor is blank.
Are you still recording?
Yeah, everything's still fine, but I think my laptop screen just broke, which is a bummer. I don't like that.
Okay.
But
But you
yeah,
can still see it on your TV, right?
yeah, it's fine.
Okay, write this time down. We're around 40 minutes
Yeah.
on my screen.
Okay. In case something happened. Yeah, I think everything's fine. Like Audacity's still recording.
Okay, yeah, so we can cut this part out or whatever around
Yeah, around 40.
Okay.
So I want to talk about Zelda, but we'll talk about that in the next episode as well. Um, Playing that kind of made me replay. Right now, I'm replaying Dark Souls 3 as usual. I don't know. Don't really need to talk about that other than you need to get Dark Souls so we can talk about
For
it.
those of you that don't know, every time Elek should be playing another game, he just ends up starting a new profile on Skyrim
Or Dark Souls.
or Dark Souls 2 or 3 again.
Or even 1. I like playing the first one.
He's probably played Skyrim and Dark Souls more than any, like, combined. If you combine those playthroughs, it would probably beat out all the other games he's ever played combined.
Yeah, I think the only game that could actually compare would probably be World of Warcraft.
In terms of starting new games or just playtime, though?
Probably both. I've done a lot of new games in World of Warcraft.
In terms of just starting from scratch with a whole new character?
Yeah, I've never finished a character in World of Warcraft.
Well, now you don't have to. You can just start and they automatically level you up.
Well, no, I'm playing the OG right now. They have the classic WoW. I'm level 52. I'm almost there, but I'm kind of waiting on some friends to catch up and then finish up. Yeah, there's Dark Souls. I don't know what other games. Skyrim. Yeah, most of it's gonna have to wait till the next episode. Oh, you know what? I've been playing Dragon Quest 11, and I bought it when it came out, and then I played it for a bit, and then kind of got bored of it. But I'm replaying it now. It's a typical JRPG. It's kind of on the easier side. But then when I had it on like the hard mode, it was too hard. There was no kind of middle ground.
I've never played, so what's it feel like? What's the combat and stuff like?
Combat, it's like Final Fantasy or Pokemon, where you just kind of walk around and then a random enemy comes up. But you actually see the enemies in this game, so you can kind of, try and avoid them if you don't want to fight. And it's kind of grindy. It's not too bad. It's definitely better than the other Dragon Quest. But I think the best part of the Dragon Quest series is that it's the same art director as the guy who makes Dragon Ball Z. And so if you like that kind of art style, it's a very beautiful looking game, and very like you're almost like playing an anime. And that's definitely the best parts. The graphics are really nice, and the monster designs. Like you almost like, even if you don't want to fight a monster, if you see a new monster, you almost go and fight it anyway, just because you want to see what, like, how it looks, the animation they have for it. It's very cool looking. Story's kind of mediocre. It's kind of just your typical, you're a hero, go save the world.
Go.
And then
Power
some of the
Rangers?
characters. The worst thing about the game right now is it's the dub. The dub is really bad on it. And
For English?
yeah, and they didn't.
Can you play it in Japanese?
No, you couldn't until it came on the Switch, and they have a sub for the Switch, which is, I heard it and it sounds fantastic. They have more difficulty modes they could actually turn on and off, and in the PS4, I think once you turn it off, you can't turn it back on. You have to do it like in the beginning of the game. And then they have a mode where they completely redone the whole game into 2D sprites, and you could play it like it was like an old school RPG. And
That's cool.
it's so cool. And they added a bunch of other stuff that's only on the Switch, and I'm like, I wish I didn't get on the PS4. If I knew I was gonna get a Switch, I would have gone on the Switch, because all the reviews I look at for it, they're like, it's so much better than on the PlayStation and Xbox. Like, if you haven't gotten it, there's no reason for you to get it if you have it. If you have a Switch, like, get it on the Switch.
Well, isn't that what they're doing with Final Fantasy VII? How you can like play it in the old style or the new style?
No, so with that,
or is that just the combat?
The combat,
system?
and even the combat, it's still not. Yeah, I think they're just gonna have a turn-based system they could use. But it's not gonna be entirely like old school version of it. I don't know. It's interesting.
Okay.
But yeah, no, they're not gonna. That would be a lot of work, and there'd be no point to doing that because the game is already. You could just play the older version. But yeah, in Dragon Quest 11, like
I guess
they straight up did a whole rework on the game, and I'm like, wow, I completely like why? It's cool, but it's like I feel like that probably took so much time. Maybe not too much time, but good on them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind that when people put extra work and time into things. Like, it's basically just fan service.
Yeah, it's what it is I got the DVD, the normal DVD version on the PS4, and then they came out with the Blu-ray director's cut with all the special editions and all that onto the Switch, and I'm like,
Yeah, but that version's always like $400.
That's true.
And you're like, you know what? Maybe I'm all right with my regular DVD.
Yeah, I kind of wish I.
Is it full price on the Switch, like $60?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and like how much was it on the PS4? Like 30?
Well, I got it when it came out, so I got it for 60.
Oh,
but
you don't know what it's at now?
It's probably like at 40 or 30. It's only a year old. Yeah, I guess I can't complain too much because I definitely wouldn't have waited until a whole year to get the game, because at the time I really wanted to play it because I was hearing a lot of good things.
Yeah, I've never played a Dragon Quest game.
This is definitely, if you're gonna try it, this is the best one to do it. It's very.
It's probably the easiest one to get into.
Yeah, easiest one to get into. It's very streamlined. It's very. I mean, it depends if you like that kind of gameplay. I could see it being boring for a lot of people. I'm into that kind of stuff. Just boring, tedious clicking, leveling. Oh, and they added a fast forward feature on the Switch. So if you're grinding, you could fast forward through most of the fights.
Oh man, that sounds convenient.
It's so convenient, and I'm like, that's something I wish I had.
Huh. Didn't you play a Dragon Quest game on the Switch? I thought I saw it on your profile.
Yeah, so they did a remastered, I guess, of the first 3. So I bought the first one, and I completely regret it because, first of all, the same thing that's on the Switch you could get on your phone for half the price. That was kind of my first red flag. But I was like, you know what? I want to play it on the Switch. I want to see how it performs. It's garbage, dude. It's so slow, and like it lags for some reason, and I don't know why, because it's a 2D game that's just updated, and it's a terrible port. And that's again what I want to talk about in the next episode. It's Nintendo's ports needs to be better, because I feel like if I got it on my phone, it'd run a lot better, and it would have been half the price. I don't know why the price is different too. Like the first one on the phone is $2, the Switch is $5. And then the third one is, I think, $10 on the phone, or maybe even less, like $8. And then on the Switch is $15.
Well, consoles always give you like a premium. Like, if you want to play on the console, it's a premium. Even like console games over PC games, it's always going to be more on the console.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Like just for the convenience of knowing that it's going to work on your system and stuff like that.
That's exactly why
I would
got it.
assume that if I got it on the Switch, that it would run and work better than on my phone.
Exactly, and it doesn't. It's so slow, and I thought they were gonna add in like a feature for fast forward, and they don't, and I don't know why they wouldn't have added that in there. Because now, instead of, I was like playing it, I'm like, I'm over it, so I just got an emulator on my phone, got the ROM of the game, and I could fast forward on my phone, and I'd rather play it how it was back then than the updated version of it. So it's not optimized well. It's pretty bad, actually.
That's weird. That's disappointing.
Yeah, only $5. So I'm not too mad, but whatever. I'm not gonna cry about it.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, like there was a puzzle game called Gorgoa.
Ooh, that sounds so
I think
familiar.
I mentioned this before.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned this in a couple podcasts ago or so. And it's a puzzle game, and I could have got that for, I think the full price of it is $5 on your phone. And you can get it on sale sometimes for like, $3 or $4. And I got it on the Switch instead because I had some credits left. And it was on sale for $7.50, but normally it was, I think, a $15 game. Damn. Exact same game. You can just play it on your Switch.
Yeah, I almost want to get every game that I would play or have on the PS4 and the Switch because it's so convenient just to have it handheld.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Here's the thing. I don't play handheld games a ton, and we'll get into this next episode, but I love that it's there and that you can.
Right.
And just all these big games that you can play on it that you never would have been able to play on a 3DS or even a Vita or whatever people are coming out with.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can play these games wherever you want. Like I mainly use it as a home console, but if I wanted to, I could literally just take it out right now and just, go wherever I want and continue my game. Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
So like I kind of get that because it's like, oh, once you leave the house, you can't play your PlayStation anymore.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that sucks because I'm just going to a party and I'm just going to sit most of the time or something like that. Or I'm going to dinner.
I don't want to socially interact with anybody.
Yeah, but like, you know what I mean? Like you're going to dinner or something where like, that you'll be interacting like during this time, but that there's also going to be like a little
downtime,
bit of downtime and stuff where you're just kind of sitting with not much to do.
For sure.
And that would be a great time to like pull out the Switch for, 30, 40 minutes or whatever and just, play some games. Then you come back home, plop it back down, and you're ready to go. So is that all you have to say about that, or you got anything else?
Yeah, no, everything else I'm just gonna save for the next
episode.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Then I will transition into Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
All right.
So when they first showed off this game, did not think it looked that great.
Really? I was the opposite.
Yeah.
I thought it looked really promising.
When they showed it at E3, I was like, this game looks kind of like wonky. Like the way it looked and played, it looked kind of like glitchy. It didn't look very smooth.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it just looked okay.
I mean, yeah, it did when they first showed it off, but I thought that was like to be expected for their first kind of showing of it.
But, yeah, but that was their first time showing it, and the game was coming out like that fall. It's like for a game that was coming out like within, what is it, like 4 months or so of when they showed it at E3, I was like, this doesn't look that great.
Yeah.
So I didn't have the best impressions of it to begin with. And I don't think that I was going to get it even before reviews came out.
Uh-huh.
And then all of a sudden the reviews came out and everyone was just like, yo, like you got to check this out. This might even be like our game of the year. It's that good. And then it turns out that it wasn't even just like an action game. It's an action adventure game.
Yeah.
So this is what I really like about this. So it's not just you're some super powerful Jedi going around and just, killing everybody and that's it. There's a lot to it. It's kind of a mixture of, and I know this is overplayed, but it's true.
Yeah.
Parts of Dark Souls,
mm-hmm.
as well as Zelda,
Uncharted,
and like Metroid type stuff, Uncharted, and even like Titanfall. So
Really?
It's made by the makers of Titanfall, which is
that.
Respawn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And everyone knows that Titanfall like got famous not only for its Titans but also like its parkour of like wall running and jumping and stuff. And they basically took the wall running and literally put it into this game. So you can't wall run on every wall, which you can in Titanfall.
Uh-huh.
Here you can only run on walls that are designated running walls. So like it'll be a wall that you can tell like has a bunch of lines on it, and then you're like, okay, I can run on that wall. But you can't just run on any wall that you see. So that part's a little disappointing. You can't just run around and jump on walls and stuff. It's just designated to certain parts, which makes it more of like look at this cool situation type thing as opposed to like an actual unique ability.
Mm-hmm.
But it does look cool and add to some of the cool moments and puzzles and stuff. So there's that. Then there's plenty of areas like each world essentially is kind of like a dungeon. It's a bad choice of words, but it's kind of like a dungeon where there's plenty of areas in the world where you can't access that area, and you know that you can't, but you know at some point you're going to get some force ability or power where you'll then be able to get past that section and move on to the next area.
Okay.
So you just have to progress, left instead of right, but you know that eventually at some point you'll be able to go right.
Uh-huh.
And that's very typical Zelda or Metroid type stuff. And then there's the action stuff. So there's a lot of downtime, or a lot of moments of downtime where you've already cleared the areas of like all the enemies and stuff, and now you're just running around trying to figure out certain puzzles of the environment. So like, okay, I got to move this over to there, or I got to try to figure out how to get to that unlockable chest or something like that. So let's just look around the environment and figure a way to do it. It's not as crazy puzzles as like straight up Zelda dungeons and stuff, but there is a lot of mechanics and ideas taken from that. And they do have these tombs that I guess you could then relate to like Tomb Raider. And it's kind of like a dungeon or a tomb from Tomb Raider, where you basically have to move around the thing and clear a few puzzles inside of it in order to, get through the tomb and unlock what you need to get. And then as you progress through the game, you start having these like flashbacks with your past
master
or so. Yeah. And through those flashbacks, you'll start to remember your abilities and your force powers. So then you'll just start to learn, like pushing, pulling, double jump with using the force and stuff like that. And that's pretty good too. And then of course there's a whole chart of unlocking abilities, so you can upgrade, your health, your force abilities, and your lightsaber abilities. And overall, I will say that I like it. I do. It's a very good game. In the beginning, it is very tough. Very tough. Like a very hard game. Like I'm talking like I wanted to walk out and not play the game anymore hard.
That was me
just
with
like,
playing
I'm
Zelda.
done.
Yeah, or even Dark Souls. Yeah, that's very much like Dark Souls, where it's hard in the beginning, but once you pick it up, you know what to do, and you start leveling, getting abilities, it gets easier.
Yeah, in the beginning, I was literally like, screw this game. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. But also, after the first section, you can go to two worlds. One of them progresses the main world, like, to the storyline. And the other one is, like, a harder world, but they give you access to go there in the beginning. And so I went there. It's called Dathomir. And I went to Dathomir first. So you're clearly, like, not ready for it yet. It's kind of like going directly to Ganon in Zelda. Like, you're not ready for it yet.
Yeah.
And I was kind of forgetting that I wasn't supposed to be there, but just trying to like make it around this area. And I was like, this game is so ridiculously hard. I was like, how am I ever going to beat this? Like, this is so difficult. Now it's not too difficult because I've leveled up my character and gotten a bunch of abilities and stuff like that. So it's much better now. But man, it was very difficult in the beginning. I lowered my difficulty like ASAP. I was playing on the second hardest difficulty, and I was like, I can't do this. And the difficulty below that is like, and this is for so the first difficulty, the easiest mode is just story mode.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you want to get through the game and see the story and stuff, but like enemies don't really pose a threat.
Yeah.
And then the next one after that, which is the one I'm on, they're like, so this is for newcomers to action games, people that haven't played action games before. I'm like, I've played tons of action games, but this game is just so hard. Oh man.
You're probably just not used to that kind of play style, maybe. Because honestly, that's what makes Dark Souls hard, is that you haven't really played a hard action game, I feel like, because most games aren't that hard anymore.
I agree.
Except for Zelda, dude. If you could be, like, honestly, if you could play through Zelda and not think it was hard, like, I don't think you're going to find Dark Souls that hard. It's not that hard of a game.
But I mean, Zelda is very much like Jedi Fallen Order, in the sense that once you start playing the game and you actually start getting like upgrades and better, like Zelda, better weapons and armor and stuff like that, it starts to become much easier, and it's not as difficult anymore. There will still be difficult parts, but it's very much a game where like you can't really beat those enemies yet, so you should come back when you're more powerful to beat them.
Right.
And Jedi has a lot of those areas too. There are a lot of linear paths, but each world kind of has like a section where it's like, okay, you can't beat this, go level up, come back when you're better.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so overall, I really like the game. I think the storyline is actually pretty cool. A lot of people don't really care much for the main Jedi that you're playing as, Cal.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's okay. There's nothing special about him,
right?
But he's a fine character. I really like how they're expanding the universe with this game.
Uh-huh.
So every single thing, you know how in Metroid, or not Metroid, but Metroid Prime, half the time you're like scanning stuff.
Yeah.
And just like seeing like the lore and worlds that like they've put together.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of that in this game. So you scan a ton of stuff with your robot BD1, and it's really cool. Like I read pretty much everything that I come across, and it's really awesome. Like they're creating like all these areas and all these monsters and trees and like living like creatures and life on each planet.
Mm-hmm.
And they detail like all of it, and they put it in the log, and you can just read about all these things that you scan, like all the different enemies, all the animals, like everything. And it's just really cool. And they'll even do like little stories, like you'll come across like a clone helmet, right? And then you scan the clone helmet, and they're like, wow, I guess there was a clone trooper here that got turned on once they switched to like the Empire or something like that, and they killed him. Like there's a lot of like little random stuff that's just like hidden in there that you don't need, but like it's just cool to see, and I really like that about this.
It's a lot like Dark Souls. Dude, I'm just gonna end up buying it for you, and then you're gonna feel guilty that you're not playing it, a gift that I bought you. But seriously, like
I'll check it out at some point. It's just I have too many new games to play. That's the thing. And then by the time I finally finish playing my backlog, like new big games are out.
You don't understand. Game of the decade for me is Dark Souls. Game of the decade. What's your game of the decade? I'm assuming it's Breath of the Wild.
That's really tough, to be honest. Game of the decade. Well, here, you know what? We'll add that onto the topic. We'll talk about that later on.
Okay.
We'll come back to that.
Now you're making me want to write an essay on Dark Souls.
Okay, I'm gonna add that on.
Okay.
Game of the decade. So, where was I at?
Star Wars. Great game. Scanning things.
Yeah. So
did you have any issues with bugs and glitches and stuff?
Okay, so yeah, I'll get to the negatives of the game. Okay. So the scanning stuff is really cool because it gives you a ton of stuff, but again, you don't really have to do it if you don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like the game is like, oh, you have to do this, but it is cool. And like when you get to a new creature or enemy for the first time, you may not know how to kill them, and then when you finally do kill them, you can scan them, and it'll tell you like what they mainly do and maybe like a point of weakness. So like, oh, when this person goes to charge up or something, that's when you should hit them and stuff like that. So it's a good system to learn more about the worlds and the environments and stuff. Overall, I like the story. I think the story is good so far. I think it's pretty interesting. Without spoiling anything, part of it is a little basic where it's like, okay, pretty much like every Star Wars series has some type of thing between a Jedi and a Padawan type thing. And that part is kind of played over. But other than that, I really like where they're going with it. Just to clarify, I haven't beaten it yet, but I just got the double jump. So I think that's about near the last maybe third or so of the game. So somewhere around there. Yeah, and it's really cool going around these worlds, and the environments are awesome. So it takes place after episode, like in between episode 3 and 4.
Yeah.
And this is the beginning, but so if you want to know information, don't listen to this part. But the very beginning establishes that you're just, a Padawan, or you used to be a Padawan Jedi, and you survived Order 66. And you're keeping it a secret because you don't want to get killed.
That's a good reason.
So you're just like living a normal life, essentially. And something happens, and then you're worried about them finding out who you are. And I'll just leave it at that. So it's kind of an intriguing thing, because it is kind of a cool place to take place, or idea to take place after episode 3 of, you think that all the Jedis are dead.
Right.
But it turns out like some of them actually survived that, and not all of them actually died, and some are in hiding. So yeah, I like the story where it's going so far, and I'm guessing it'll be a cool story as it continues, and I'll enjoy it.
I have a friend that's playing it right now, and he came home. We were hanging out, and he came home from work, and he's just like, "You guys, I'm at the last part, and I waited until you guys were home so you could watch me do it." Because I guess it's like the ritual now that every night they'll watch him play it and like watch it as like a movie.
Did you watch it?
No, I didn't. I didn't watch it.
Okay, good.
Yeah. No, I was gonna watch it
really
at the
like
end.
this game.
I do too.
I think you'll really like this game.
I'll probably get it on whenever it goes on sale, maybe sometime. What's today? I don't know when they would have it on sale again. Probably like spring, I would think.
Yeah, they had it. You could get it for like down to like 35, I think, around Christmas.
Oh, okay. I probably should.
Which is a pretty good price.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the enemies are really cool. The lightsaber fighting is pretty awesome. You can customize your lightsaber. So let's get into the lightsaber specifically. It is really cool. You can get your dual-sided lightsaber and stuff.
Yeah,
you
it's
have
a
to
little
pick one or
funky
the
looking.
other. You don't have to pick one or the other. You have your regular lightsaber, and you can always use it as a single blade or a double blade.
It's like a
And
combo.
you can choose whenever you want to switch, and you can switch in the middle of combat. Your single blade is stronger, and then double blade is weaker, but it's better for multiple enemies because you can hit 2 people at the same time. So if you're like stuck in a crowd or you're being surrounded, switch to the double. But if you're just going one-on-one with someone, it's much better to go with the single because it's more powerful and you can move it a little faster.
Is it better in terms of deflecting and defense?
No, they're both the same.
Okay.
Which is really cool. So every time you get shot at, you just block, and then it hits it right back at the person. So sometimes it gets difficult because you're being shot at and you're being attacked by people around you. So like if you're being shot at, you could stop, block really quick, kill someone, like shoot that back at the stormtrooper that shot it, kill them, and then go back to fighting and stuff. That's really cool. And you can also hold it. So when a bunch of people are just shooting at you, like you're just like spinning your lightsaber in circles, deflecting every shot that like is coming at you. It's pretty cool. Especially once you learn some of the combos. But the fighting is the most difficult part. So learning to master and block with your lightsaber is like master the combos and stuff and block. It's really difficult. Like to start from scratch and just be like, okay, how do I use this? I feel like it's one of those like it's easy to play but hard to master type things.
Right. Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I was having such a difficult time, because like blocking is such a big deal and it's kind of hard to block. And each difficulty, the harder you get, they lower that time where you can block. So the easier the difficulty, the more time they give you to effectively block. And the harder the difficulty, like you have to be exact with your blocks or else you're not going to block them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty tough. And yeah, it made me very angry in the beginning. But it gets better as it goes on. And again, you start unlocking more abilities and stuff. Some are pretty cool. I don't want to spoil them. You can upgrade your health, which was one of the biggest things when I was, first getting started in the beginning of like, oh, thank God I can finally increase that. You get stims. So here's the basics of how saving and stuff works. So there are little areas that you'll find, and you can come to them, and that's the only time that you can save, when you drop down on them to meditate.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So once you sit down and you leave, that's a save. Now, from that save point, you can look at your skills and upgrade, certain stats or whatever with your experience points. You can rest or you can leave. Now, when you rest, it resets your health, your force, and all of your stims. And your stims are what you use to it's like a health pack essentially.
It's like a bonfire.
And yeah, so exactly. So once you do that, if you choose to rest, all of the enemies that you killed come back.
Oh my God, it's like a game
to life. And yeah, but you get everything replenished.
Yeah.
So you have
you're
to
ready
choose.
for Dark Souls. You're
So
so
you have
ready.
to choose between. Do you want to make it a little bit easier, or like getting health back, or do you think you can continue like through this area without having to respawn everybody? Because maybe you're in an area where if you respawn, there's like a big monster outside that you may have to like then kill again or something.
And you get EXP for killing enemies.
Yeah, and if you die, that person that killed you
takes your shit.
Now takes all of your experience.
Yeah.
So in order to get that experience back, you have to fight your way back from the last save point to that person. Now, you don't have to kill that person. You just have to hit them once.
Okay.
Once you hit them, you get all of your experience back, and it maxes out your health.
Oh, that's
so it just
good.
puts your health back to full. Otherwise, that part can get a little annoying.
Yeah.
Because you're sitting there trying to get through a level, and then you die, and you're like, oh man, I got to walk all the way back there. And maybe you were in an area where you're like, you know what, I don't really want to do that anymore, but you lost your experience, so you have to go back just to hit that person to get your experience back.
Mm-hmm.
Which can sometimes just be frustrating instead of fun. It's like, oh man, like I really have to go back there and do that again. Like I didn't even want to do that. So that can kind of get annoying. Also, you can't just save at any time. So, like I said, you can only save when you go to meditate at those certain spots. And if you get really far, like just going somewhere, and you haven't come across another one yet, like it could just be annoying because now all of a sudden you're you got to go all the way back if you die, and you just missed out on all of that progress and stuff that you made over there. And I know that's just like a typical save thing, but just sometimes it gets annoying because sometimes you don't know where the next save point is going to be when you're exploring new areas. But it wasn't too big of an issue, but it just was something that I noticed.
Mm-hmm.
And but there would be some times where like I decided not to rest because I didn't want to respawn all those enemies, but my health was low. So I
Right.
decided to push through it anyways, and then I ended up dying, and now I have to do everything all over again. And I got to go all the way back through all those areas. I'm like, ugh. So it's give and take. You can choose what you want to do, but sometimes you just might get mad at yourself.
Yeah. I mean, that's yeah, that's the Souls games in general. Having to, it sounds a lot like more like Bloodborne, where once you die in Bloodborne, the enemy that killed you will have your stuff, but instead of having to just hit it, you actually have to kill the enemy. Um, but I don't know, dude. It sounds like this was the start of you playing Dark Souls. Like, you're ready for it, dude. You're ready for it. And it makes me actually now want to play the Star Wars game a bit more because I really enjoy that kind of gameplay.
Yeah.
Because it makes you feel like you are not so much like your character's getting stronger and better, but you feel like you're getting better at the game.
Yeah, that kind of gives me that feeling with Star Wars too, where like now, like I was very scared before to be like, oh no, like I'm not going to make it through this game. I was just like, I wanted to sit down and play a fun Star Wars game, but like this just doesn't seem like it's going to happen. I was just so angry the first night that I was playing it. Like the beginning starts off really cool. There's not a lot of like combat. It's just cool, like platforming and stuff. And the story's really cool. And I'm like, man, this game is awesome. And then it places you in just a situation where now you have to kill some people and they hand you a lightsaber and you're just like, this looks really cool, but I have no idea how I'm supposed to get past this. It's just so difficult. So it's very tough in the beginning, but you do quickly start to, level up your character and get stronger.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe like the first few hours of the game are pretty frustrating, but then like it starts getting better for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. As for downsides, the bugs, very annoying.
So you've noticed them.
Yes.
Okay, because it's interesting because the person that I've talking to is playing it as well. I keep bringing it up, and it's just like, no, this is one of the best gaming experiences I've ever had. I'm like, oh, that's
Seriously?
very interesting. It's just like, yeah, I haven't had any issues, no bugs, no nothing.
What's he
Everything.
playing on?
Xbox.
And which Xbox does he have?
The standard one, I think.
The original or the S? Is it white?
No, I think it's black. I think it's like the OG.
Okay. Huh, that's really strange.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm running it on Xbox One X, and it it has not been the smoothest experience.
Dang, that's so interesting.
Yeah, so let me get into that. So a lot of the bugs are just kind of like visual stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing, right? I'm not playing the game right when it came out. Like I'm playing it on version like 1.0.6. So there
it's
have
already
been
been
six
patched.
updates.
Yeah.
Yeah, there have been 6 updates for this game, and I'm still noticing stuff.
Oh, and even my little brother, he's played it, and I asked him as well, like, Do you notice any weird glitches? And it's like, not really, maybe once, but he's had a very smooth experience too.
And he's on PlayStation.
No, he's playing on the computer.
Okay. Huh. That's weird then.
Yeah, so
Because I saw that bugs were an issue in all the reviews, so I was hoping that by the time that I got around to it, that it would be much better.
right.
And I was incorrect.
Would you say
so
it's better
far.
or worse than Skyrim?
Oh, it's better than Skyrim for sure.
Not like gameplay, but I meant like bugs wise. I mean, I guess you
Yeah.
haven't played it, so you wouldn't really know. But there were a lot
No,
of.
it's better than Skyrim bugs.
Okay.
It's not like unplayable or anything where you're just like, what is happening? What's going? Well, I shouldn't say it's not unplayable. So most of the bugs, like I said, are like visual issues, like pop in. You're turning the camera and you just see like white spots like that are behind like the digital world that are just like peering through, and then all of a sudden after you're on that, like looking at that for a little bit, like it'll just go away and fill in. Sometimes like your movements just don't feel very smooth. It's crashed on me twice. So one time, like it literally crashed on me, like just popped me out of the game, which sucked because with the system where you can't just save all the time, and like I said, like you haven't saved in a while because you didn't want to make everybody reappear. Like all of a sudden, I had to do all of that all over again. So that was very obnoxious. And then there was a time where it was in the animation of him going into like a crevice to crawl through. And I hit the map button to look at the map, and it got like stuck. I had no idea what was going on. I couldn't see the map. I couldn't exit out of the map, and I couldn't move my character. I pushed every single button multiple times, and I couldn't do anything. And I was like really angry because I was like hoping that it would like pop out of this or something, so I wouldn't have to quit out of the game and restart it.
Yeah.
And it never did. So I had to quit the game, lose all the progress that I made, and restart it.
I'm assuming they did the save point like that for a reason, because they knew it was so buggy that if it was auto saving, every minute or two, because that's how it usually.
That it might auto save you into a bug.
Yeah. And
maybe
you wouldn't be able to load a previous save. Because that's the issue with Dark Souls. It auto saves constantly. And I've only had it happen once, but there was one time where I was glitched into something and it auto saved. And every time I load the game, it would be right back where it glitched out. And then I basically had to start a new game.
Huh. Yeah, that sounds terrible.
It's awful, but Dark Souls isn't that buggy of a game. Star Wars sounds like a lot more of a mess. So I could see why they did the saves if they knew ahead of time that it's going to have a lot of bugs. They must have known.
Yeah, so the bugs are definitely annoying, and it sucks because it's a AAA game and it's Star Wars. And I know that not everyone is having an issue with the bugs, but like I noticed them pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And again, like there have been 6 updates since the game came out.
What's up with everybody getting the Star Wars name and not taking care of it?
Well, here's the thing, right? The game is great.
Yeah.
It's not an issue with the game. I just think that, and this goes back to how I said that it looked when they first showed it off. I was like, it doesn't look that smooth and stuff when they first showed it off. I was like, it looks kind of like an early build, which is fair because the game isn't out yet. But when the game is supposed to be out in 4 months or so from then, now it becomes an issue.
Yeah.
Where they're trying to get this game out, obviously in time for the Star Wars movie, so they can hype people up for all that because they got to release them at the same time because it just makes sense financially.
Yeah.
And then because of that, you release a game that probably could have used 2-3 more months of just good old just bug fixing. So I don't know. That part is honestly a pretty big disappointment.
Yeah.
That they couldn't figure that out beforehand or just give it a little bit more time, and they just had to get the game out. Which isn't necessarily the developer's fault. That's more so, EA and
Just when in doubt, just blame EA.
Disney's fault and stuff. But yeah, so the bugs killed my game twice so far.
But you just had to reload a save state. You didn't have to restart like.
I didn't have to restart the entire game, but I still lost all the progress that I had made before the last time I saved. So, yeah. And then I don't know if it's just me this part, and I'm bad at this, or if it's just the game is clunky. But there are sections where you'll be going down like an icy slope, and you're moving fast, and you can't do anything on them except like jump and like turn on the slope, you know? And I fall off constantly on those because the camera is kind of weird and it's hard to control the character as you're sliding down them, going around turns. And like, I have literally lost lives and had to use stim packs just because I'm restarting. Like, you fall off and they put you at the back at the top of the hill, and now you got to go down it again. And it's just like, oh my God, like this should be so much easier than it is. Like, this shouldn't be something where you're constantly dying. It's like a simple slide essentially. So there's that. And then sometimes you have to go like from those slides to jumping onto a vine to then swing from.
And you just like miss the jump.
And then you miss the jump almost every time because the controls are kind of clunky when you're sliding down. So yeah,
that just seems like normal. I mean, when I was playing Tomb Raider, even sometimes Uncharted, like when there was something you need to jump onto, that's usually where I died the most. It was either
and then there's like that death animation.
Yeah. Tomb Raider was fun because they had some really good death animations. And then
yeah, dude, they had like spikes straight in the head and stuff.
Uncharted was hilarious too because all it was somebody going, Nathan, Nate.
Yeah, Nathan. No.
My brother, when he started playing it, he said that was like the only thing he got out of the game. I'm like, what did you get out of the game? It's like, Nathan.
Yeah. Yeah, so overall it's a good game. I do recommend it. I think you would really like it.
This is a game that you would recommend because like Uncharted, I almost never put it on a medium difficulty. I always put it on the easiest. So I don't like the gameplay that much. Well, I like the gameplay. I don't like the shooting mechanics of Uncharted. And so I usually turn it easy as possible because all I care about really is the story and the platforming. And so would you say that's a game to do that with, or would you recommend still playing it at least on the difficulty above that?
So I would play it on the difficulty that I'm on.
Which is the one above it? Which is
the one above the easiest one.
Okay.
The easiest one is literally called story mode, just for instances like you said, where you just kind of want to get through the game, but you don't want to have any, difficulties or anything like that. I would recommend one above that, and that should be okay. I was two above the easiest one to start with, and I was having a pretty difficult time, and I wasn't enjoying it.
So I dropped it down. The medium difficulty?
So that's what I thought. That's why I went with that one at first, because I was like, okay, it seems like this is technically the medium, and the story mode one isn't really a difficulty. It's just like a super easy mode for anybody.
Yeah.
So that's what I took it as. So that's why I started with the middle one. And then that was just super difficult, so I stopped and dropped it ASAP. So if you want, I would maybe start it at the second hardest
and see
see if you're good at it or not. If you're not, then like drop it and make your experience better.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a very tough game, and honestly, I don't know how anyone could get through this game on the hardest difficulty.
I think with my Dark Souls experience, I could probably do it.
It just doesn't seem like it would be fun to me. Like, it would be a challenge, but it wouldn't be fun.
It depends on the person you are. Like, to me, like, that is my fun, is accomplishing something super hard. That's why I like Dark Souls, is there's no difficulty. The game's made the way it's supposed to be being. and so I don't have fun when when I first started playing Uncharted, I put on the highest difficulty. And I didn't like that because it almost seemed like an artificial difficulty. All they do is just like increase damage, one shot kill kind of thing. Versus Dark Souls, you can't change difficulty. It's the way it is.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, every game is different, but like when I play games that I want to focus on the story, right? Like Halo.
Mm-hmm.
I love playing Halo on legendary difficulty with a couple of people. Like it's super fun to like get through that challenge together as a group.
Uh-huh.
But I would never play through it on a harder difficulty by myself, like for the first time.
Right. Because
I don't want to
enjoy the game.
Yeah, I don't want the gameplay and me dying 50 times to get in the way of me enjoying just the game as it is,
mm-hmm.
and then also just taking longer to get through the story and stuff. Like I just want to have like a decent difficulty where it's not super easy, but it's not like ridiculously hard, and I can still focus on the story and just have a good time where I'm not constantly getting angry and want to throw the controller at the wall.
Right.
So yeah, I'd recommend second to highest difficulty on this one, and then if not, just drop it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's good other than the bugs.
Mucho bueno. Scale of 1 to 10. What did IGN give it? Like a 9?
IGN gave it a 9.
Yeah. I see it somewhere maybe in the 8 range.
Yeah, I'd say if it wasn't so difficult in the beginning, like that made me really angry in the beginning, just to be honest. Like I was just like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. But since then, like now I really like it. And it's a mix of just a bunch of really good genres. So I'd go somewhere between like 8 and 9. I don't know if I would say game of the year, but I would definitely put it up there as one of the better games of 2019. It's pretty good. Because I really like Titanfall, and the guys behind Titanfall made this. And like you can tell that, okay, first of all, Titanfall 2, heavily underrated. Incredible campaign. One of the best shooting campaigns.
I know a few people that's played it, and they all say the same thing, that they don't understand why this isn't being talked about and played more. Like Call of Duty.
Titanfall 2 was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. The campaign, it was their first campaign that they did, because the first one didn't have one. That was one of the best shooter campaigns I've ever played.
Really?
It's very good. And then they also do like kind of like really cool like parkour stuff, trying to like get from area to area, because again, you can do wall jumping and sprinting and stuff on everything. So I highly recommend that. I think I've told you this a few times. I think it was actually a PlayStation game, like a free one of their free games, like a month or two ago.
Maybe. I don't remember.
Or something like that. And it was really good. Uncharted Collection is free this month.
Oh. Gotta go pick that one up.
Yeah, whoever doesn't have that and has never played those games before, now you can play them all.
Do you see yourself ever replaying through any of the Uncharted games again? Or is it kind of like a one and done thing?
Well, I recently played them.
So yeah, probably not for a while.
But it was my first time playing through them.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably never touch the first one ever again. For sure.
That
one was very difficult to go through. Honestly, not that great of a game.
Yeah,
it's very overrated in my opinion. Now the second one is exactly what you want out of it, and it's incredible.
Yeah, the second one's really good.
The second one, like it's almost like a Assassin's Creed 1 to Assassin's Creed 2 type thing.
Mm-hmm. It's exactly that.
That's what you could say to that, yeah. It's very much like the first one. It's just so repetitive until like the alien things come out of nowhere. That surprised me. I wasn't expecting that.
Mm-hmm. It had a good twist.
Yeah. And like that actually finally changed up like the gameplay, and now it was like run and gun type stuff instead of just, oh, here's another round of enemies, stay behind cover, and just pop out and shoot them.
I mean, that's definitely my biggest complaint about the whole Uncharted series. It's that it's
Yeah, but at least got better as it went on.
Yeah,
Whereas like
definitely.
the first one was just like, oh my god, like another wave, and then you kill that wave. Oh, another wave of people. Like, okay.
See, I made the mistake of playing that one on the hardest difficulties as well. I did it my first playthrough,
Wow.
and I did it my hardest. And then I
Congratulations.
started the second one. I'm like, do I do the hardest mode? I'm like, no, let's just do the easiest. That's the
Yeah, those ones are good though. Second one, third one.
You've never played
Third one
Mass
was
Effect,
good,
have
but
you?
I like the second one more. I have not played Mass Effect. No.
Those are good games. I would play those on the easiest difficulty because I hate the gameplay. It's a good
Yeah,
story.
I always heard the gameplay was kind of clunky, but like the story and decision making and stuff is really good.
Mm-hmm. Their one's so good gameplay wise, actually. That one I could see myself playing on a harder difficulty. The first one, clunky as hell. I don't think I've even finished it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that wraps that up for now for Star Wars. I'll come back to that once I beat that and let you guys know my final decision. But another recommendation: add it to the list if you haven't already. We'll stick with Star Wars, and over the break, the last episode of The Mandalorian came out. So let's hop into what we thought of The Mandalorian and where we think that'll go.
As a whole, or should we just talk about the episode first?
Okay, let's talk about the episode and then as a whole.
Okay, so it's been kind of a while, so I don't remember too much. I loved it in comparison to the other episodes. I wished every episode was like that episode. It had a lot of character development, and it had a lot of story progression, and it showed.
Yeah.
A lot of things happened in that episode, and it actually seemed like an actual episode and not just a quick 30-minute, oh, here's Star Wars. Because that's what it kind of seemed like. None of the episodes, other than maybe the first 3 episodes, just seemed like an episode. It almost seemed like a quick YouTube clip, you know?
Yeah, so the first 3 episodes, in my opinion, and the last 2 episodes are definitely the highlight. And when you think of that as a whole, that really means there's only 3 episodes in the middle that were kind of pointless.
Yeah, but then again,
So
each episode was only 30 minutes, so they don't even seem like full episodes. And
no, that's true.
So,
I do agree that the runtime is too short.
So in reality, it almost seems like you only got 2-3 episodes out of a whole season. You lump them all together.
Well, the last episode was pretty long, wasn't it? Like
yeah. It was like 45 minutes, I think.
50 minutes or something. Yeah, 45, 50 minutes.
So when you lump all those good episodes together, you get, maybe a 3-hour season.
So, yeah, overall it was short. The season was short and the episodes were too short. I think that's like universally agreed upon. Like whether you like the show or not, it was just too short.
Yeah.
I've already talked about that. I think it's obvious that they were just shortening the season because they needed to rush it out to launch it with Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So that part, kind of sucks. But this episode, I think, shows us exactly what the show can be and what it will be going forward. And that doesn't mean that every episode is going to be like that crazy. I'm fine with slower episodes as long as they like still progress the story and you get something out of it. Like Game of Thrones. They'll have an episode where like there's not a single death or like bit of action in the whole episode for an hour long, but the dialogue was so great and it progressed the story so well that you didn't care.
Yeah, and some of those episodes are the best episodes in the show.
Yeah. So I think that it was a great step for showing where the show can go and what they can do with their budget. Because like that was straight up looking like a movie. Like the TIE fighter comes in, he attaches to the TIE fighter, pulls himself up to it, puts the bomb on it, and then just jumps off. Like that was sick. Like that could have been straight out of a movie. So
I agree. It was
production
really
quality
well done
and stuff
episode.
In that episode was great. I thought there were a lot of really cool scenes. I love the opening scene with the two stormtroopers just sitting
Oh
there
my
like
god,
holding Baby
I forgot
Yoda.
about that. That was so funny, dude. Oh my god, that was the best scene in the whole fucking season, dude. I was like, oh my god, they keep this up. This is what this show's gonna be like. I'm
Yeah,
in.
and it's just like some dry humor, like they're both like
Oh.
shooting at the can and neither of them can hit it, and they're like, "Oh, I guess the blaster's defective again."
Oh man, yeah, and yeah,
I was waiting for Baby Yoda to do something there. Like the guy was just like hitting him on the head and stuff.
I'm glad that like, oh, dude, I was laughing at that too. Because like everyone just loves Baby Yoda and he just fucking hits him.
Yeah, he's like, I don't care about this little dude. I'm just like knocking him around and stuff.
A big thing I like about the show in general, I guess, is it's very grounded. They're not trying to do like, ooh, here comes the Jedi kind of thing. I'm glad there wasn't a single lightsaber in this whole season.
Yeah.
Um, we weren't. I'm glad we didn't see a
Until the end
Mandalorian
there.
fight a Jedi. I mean,
I know it's not a lightsaber,
yeah, it was a.
but it's like a
But that's what I like
what are
about
they
it,
calling
dude.
it? The saber,
Yeah, it's a like a.
the dark saber or something, night saber.
No, I don't remember.
Something, but supposedly it's a Mandalorian weapon, and it's like a sword that has like lightsaber technology around it.
Well, I don't know if it's just Mandalorian, because I'm pretty sure those are what usually Jedi Padawans before they even build their lightsaber use. These like almost like katanas.
I could have sworn I read that it was like a crazy like important Mandalorian weapon, like assuming like it means that like that guy killed a Mandalorian and then took it from him.
I don't think so. It might have been. It could have.
And like that might be like how he knew who Mando was, like he knew his name.
A
Because
proto
like that guy
saber.
helped. The what?
Proto saber.
Maybe.
I feel like it could have been.
But
I'm gonna look this up.
yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Like he pulls that out and stuff. So like I'm fine with them like bringing out like different weapons and stuff, and it's a cool way to bring a cool weapon on that isn't literally a lightsaber.
Oh, you know what? You could be right. I'm thinking of a different thing. So they have these katanas. Those are more for like Jedi's and learning. But I guess this is called a Beskade. Beskade, and it's a Mandalorian saber, and it's kind of similar to what the Jedi's use.
Yeah. So one of the things like at the end, once they blew the ship up, I was like, guys, you got to go back and go to the ship and make sure he's dead.
That was a little.
I was like, there's no way that guy is dead from that. They don't bring in like a big name actor just for like the last like 10 seconds of episode 7 and then to come in for episode 8 and like that's it. Like he's clearly going to be like the main villain.
Yeah.
So I was like, once he crashes there, I was like, you have to go and check and make sure he's dead and actually kill him if you're going to do
and
that.
You've brought it up before when we talked about this show. This has got to be the most reckless and clueless bounty hunter in the world. Like, he is just, I don't know, he doesn't think. He kind of just does.
Well, sometimes he does think, and then other times he doesn't whenever it's convenient for the story.
For the plot, yeah.
Like, when he just walks into a random bar on a different planet and he's just like, hey, can you watch this kid? Like, dude, you know that Baby Yoda is like the most important thing in the universe right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like leaving him with some random person.
Yeah.
What?
Very interesting.
So he has had some strange things. One thing that I thought they were going to do was have Baby Yoda just go off. I thought they were going to have Baby Yoda like when the robot went and picked up Baby Yoda for I had an issue with this. The robot is supposed to protect Baby Yoda, like that's what it was designed to do.
Yeah.
But the first thing it does is take it directly into where all the stormtroopers are. I was like, this dude should head directly to the ship and,
Yeah.
lock the doors and take off. I was like, why is he heading into there when he's strictly supposed to take care of the kid?
Yeah, he went in
So
to
I had an
save
issue
them,
with
and it's
that.
just like, whoa, whoa, whoa! You're not programmed to save everybody there. You're programmed to save the thing that
Just
you
Baby
have in
Yoda.
your hand. Yeah,
Yeah. So I thought that was strange that he then and when he got there, he did turn his body around so Baby Yoda was in the back.
right.
But still, I was like, if you take him there and you get injured, they can easily kill Baby Yoda or take him or whatever. I thought that was very careless of the robot and kind of against his protocol.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it was a sick scene, though.
It was a fucking 60.
It was cool. It just goes in there and starts doing all that. And then, at that moment, I thought Baby Yoda was going to use his powers to I don't know, force choke every stormtrooper at the same time, or just something crazy that was going to be really cool. But he never did.
I'm glad they
The only
didn't.
time, yeah, the only time he used his power was when the flamethrower guy came in
Mm-hmm.
and he shot the fire back at him and blew him up. That was still pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then since Yoda can force heal Baby Yoda, I thought it was weird that he didn't directly go to Mando, who he cares about,
Again, yeah, another thing that I was a little bit confused, and it was,
and didn't help him when he was on his deathbed.
and again, I think you were right. It's because of the plot. They want to do something with the plot, and I'm like, oh, the robot's gonna heal him because he's like, oh, nobody can see my face, but he's a robot, so it doesn't matter.
I thought that part was cool. It made sense to me.
It
It was
did.
he can't show his face to anybody, but since it's just a robot
It all
and
makes
stuff,
sense.
he's finally like, okay, I'll take my helmet off so you can try to heal me or whatever.
It
But I
might,
thought that Baby Yoda would have walked up to him and healed him. Now, this part I do get. Maybe when Baby Yoda uses his powers,
he just gets
he
wiped
loses
out.
all his energy and has to take a nap now.
Yeah, I think that's what happened.
So, yeah, so he had to choose between healing just Mando and then possibly they die anyways because it takes too long and this guy's coming in with a flamethrower, or kill the guy with the flamethrower. That saves everybody, and now maybe you can drag Mando out to safety or something.
Yeah, and I didn't get
So,
why Mando was just like, this is it. I'm done. Save yourselves kind of thing. I'm like, come on. Stop. You're not done.
yeah, I was like, there's no way he's dead at the end of the first season.
Yeah. Although it would be really cool.
I think, again, they just used that as an excuse to show his face, though.
It definitely was. And I'm glad it happened because it
And
needed to happen.
then he moved to Colombia to fight drug lords.
And what's his name?
Pablo Escobar.
No. Who's
The other actor in there?
No. I'm trying to think. He looks like somebody, and Julie brought it up, and I thought it was funny. What's his name?
Have you seen Narcos? You know what I'm referencing?
No. I mean, I've heard of Narcos. I don't get.
Oh.
I don't really. I get the
He's
reference.
the main guy in Narcos.
Oh, he
I think
is.
the newest season. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. The guy who does Puss in Boots, the voiceover guy, Puss in Boots.
Oh, Antonio Banderas.
Yeah, she was like, Antonio Banderas is the bounty hunter. I was like, close.
That's funny. That's so
Yeah,
funny.
she was like, for a badass Mandalorian, he looks kind of like a like you didn't expect him to look like that as a Mandalorian. Kind of just had like a baby face.
That's funny. Yeah. Because I mean, they already said who was playing Mando from the beginning. You already knew what he looked like. You just don't know what he looks like in the show. My girlfriend was a little disappointed because she was like, "Oh, he looks kind of like an older guy," and she was like, "Now I feel like she thought it was this cool young guy doing all these athletic moves and stuff like that, saving the universe." And she's like, "Oh, now it's just some older guy."
Mm-hmm.
But I like the guy because I like him again from other shows and movies that he's
same.
been in and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I don't care.
I don't give a shit either.
I like him. But again, that goes back to the issue of whether or not you unveil someone's face that has a mask. And then once people portray that person as a certain way of they either think he fits the mold or he doesn't.
Hmm.
Sometimes that ruins people's impression of like that character.
I get it, but it needed to happen because it just showed his human side and it kind of makes the character more believable if you have a
True,
face
but
to
like
go with it.
if you go back to like Darth Vader, for example, he was scary and menacing when Star Wars first came out because no one knew what he looked like. He's just this guy behind a mask.
Yeah.
And then Kylo Ren, what happened when he took it off in Episode 7? People immediately started making jokes because they didn't think that he fit the mold
Yeah.
of like how a bad guy looks, and they're like, "Oh, look at this guy," thinking he's all cool with his helmet and stuff.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he would have been pretty menacing if he never took his helmet off.
Hmm.
Which I like the way that they like brought a human side to him in the new series. To be honest,
Yeah.
I like that he wasn't just like a straight up bad guy. Like he's a regular person with good attributes and bad attributes, and he's fighting between those two to be like who he thinks he should be. So I like that they brought that more human side to Kylo, but it did take away the scariness of who Kylo is, because then you're like, he's not that bad of a guy. He doesn't look that scary.
Right. Teenage angst.
Yeah. So, yeah. Overall, I thought the episode was very good. It was a good length. It was just jam packed the whole way through. Lots of action. Story was good. I thought it was a little weird at the end that the girl and the guild guy are just like, "Oh, we're just gonna stay here and have a good time." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, just how they kind of all came together is just weird.
I do like where they left the story for like where it may go. So when they went to the other Mandalorians down like in the tunnels, all the Mandalorians had gone.
Yeah.
So they basically all given up. They all took off their armor and just left.
Did they, or are they just like relocating, or they're just dispersing?
Well, once they take their armor off, they can't go back. Like once they take their helmets off, all their helmets are off. They all have seen each other's identities and stuff now.
Yeah, yeah. I still think, yeah.
If they're going along with the code,
Uh-huh.
none of them can become Mandalorians again. Like
Yeah.
they're done.
I mean, one of two things: either they come back and they break the code, or the Mandalorian like kind of, like they're just he's probably gonna form the new group or something. Like I don't think the Mandalorians are gone for good. Maybe like those that took off their armor might be gone, but it's gonna keep going.
Yeah. What did you think of that whole scene in general?
I didn't really get it. I don't know why they just kind of gave up. I don't know why they didn't just relocate. Like they're just a bunch of badasses. Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of indifferent about that scene. It didn't really impact me that much. I'm glad he got his jetpack though. That was pretty sick. What did you think of it?
Just a second.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. So
Okay.
I really liked that scene, and I will tell you why.
Yeah.
So I thought, one, it was really cool to see all like the armor taken off,
Mhm.
and I thought it was very much a moment of like, this is it. Like they're not gonna. They know that they can't hide anymore, and that they're, people are coming after them, and they're just kind of done. Like they had this guild, but they've been in hiding this whole time, and their life sucks, and it's not that exciting. So they're kind of done. So when you kind of think of it, it seems like Mando is kind of like the last Mandalorian now.
Yeah. I felt like they just kind of gave up too easily.
But it was to save Mando. Like when he got stuck from taking Baby Yoda, they all came out and saved him.
Yeah.
And then because of that, like now everyone's mad at them for, killing a bunch of people and stuff. So it's at least the way the show is portraying it. It seems like they're kind of like the last group of Mandalorians.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I really liked how it was just so like perfectly like in tune with being a video game, where every time he goes back to that girl, she just gives him some type of cool new armor. Like he turns in more of those like
Iron,
metal chunks or whatever. Yeah. And she just makes him like a cooler set of armor. And then all of a sudden, like he got like the ultimate upgrade this last time of getting his jetpack. And it's like, all right.
Dude, yeah, like that's my main. It's not a complaint, I guess. I don't know what it is, but it would have been such a sick fucking video game, dude. And I would have much rather see this being a video game than a show.
I wouldn't say rather. I think they could do both. I think it's fine. Like you can easily make another, Star Wars bounty hunter type game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought it was very cool with that aspect. And like she even said, like, you're not ready for this, but I'm giving it to you now. Like you're going to have to like kind of like learn how to use it. So like in the beginning, like he couldn't like, it was kind of like, okay, like take your time and like it'll just work when like you're good. Like when you like truly believe that like you're good. So I thought like that was kind of cool. Of course, he ends up using it in the same episode though. So it's not like he had it, but he had to like learn how to use it really. But it was cool, like the way they spoke about it and stuff. And then she also, in my opinion, foreshadowed what the next season's going to be about, which was super sick.
What did she say? I don't remember.
She was talking about how he now has to take care of this kid.
Oh, right. Uh-huh.
And you should go and try to find his people.
Oh yeah. Oh, she also named the species.
She said she did not name the species.
Are you sure?
No.
I'm pretty sure she did.
No, they don't know what it is. That's why she's saying go find them.
Okay.
Go find where this child is from and find its people. And then so there was that, and then there was also references to her saying like train him as one of our own. Mm-hmm. Like train him as a Mandalorian. And I was like, oh my God, Baby Yoda, like Mandalorian on a jetpack, but also using the Force like that. Like I just got the sickest images in my head of like, oh my God,
like
Jedi, that'd be so cool. But it's like Yoda. You got this Yoda going around with this jetpack, just using Force abilities and doing all this cool stuff. Like that'd be so sick. Like them going around the galaxy together, just like doing bounty hunter stuff. But like Yoda's like legit, not just like a cute little baby anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that was really cool. So whichever of those happen, like I'm totally okay with that being the storyline. Like that'd be really cool if like that's mainly what this series is about, is like discovering like what type of species like the Yoda species is, like where they come from, who they really are, why they're so powerful,
Yeah.
And it's mainly just exploring like the background of that species. Mm-hmm. I'm totally okay with that because it's never been done before. So it's literally all new.
Yeah. Yes, that sounds like a good direction to go in.
Yeah. And I think that they'd be able to get a lot of content from that. And my guess is that from here on out, it's going to be longer episodes and longer seasons.
I hope so.
I think they were really rushing this first season out, and now like they'll be good to go. So, yeah, really, really liked the episode, and I'm excited to see where they go from here. Sticking with Star Wars, so
yeah, let's make this probably the last topic for this episode. Just unless you could think of one that could go well with it.
Okay.
For the next one, we could kind of put it all together.
Okay, sure. So
it's also because I'm starving now.
Yeah, I'd like to get some food too. So it's kind of hitting dinner time here.
Yeah.
So the Star Wars movie came out, Rise of Skywalker, and it turns out that they had about 30 minutes of scenes and stuff that they shot that fully explains how Palpatine survived.
And so that
And they
probably
cut
could
it.
have.
They cut it because they thought that people wouldn't care.
Well, this
Like,
is a bad
what?
explanation, but I would really like to know
So,
why.
yeah, so there was an interview with the Huffington Post, and the editor of episode 9, Marianne Brandon, said that it was supposed to originally shed more light on Palpatine's return, but they ultimately cut it. It says because it was in order to prevent fans from being bombarded with exposition.
And you know what? They didn't
No,
have it all in
that's
that episode.
exactly what fans want.
Yeah.
Fans want to sit there for half an hour and you explain to them why this crazy thing is able to happen. Because guess what? Especially things with in pop culture that are this important, like Star Wars, people are going to analyze it like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you have something that's like bulletproof, people are going to find conspiracies or say like, oh, there's no way that would happen. And guess what? Everyone was just like, this doesn't make any sense. Because instead of 30-minute thing of, oh, this is basically how he's still here, everyone just got like a word that says, oh, there was a transmission with a rumor that Palpatine is still there. Like, oh, okay.
I can't believe that episode happened.
So like if they really did make that, why skip that? I don't think that excuse is good enough, especially when this movie was 10 minutes shorter than The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
So clearly people are okay with a 2.5-hour Star Wars movie.
Mm-hmm. I would have been okay
So
with a 3-hour movie.
Yeah, even if they found a way to just add, 10 extra minutes of screen time in here to give a little bit more explanation that just starts off with like even if literally they started off with him falling down, or like falling off the ledge or whatever, getting thrown off the ledge by Vader, like just start right there. Like literally show that scene happening and then just use the camera and like follow him as he falls down now. And like we see what actually happened. And it turns out that he landed on a bed of pillows and that's why he's okay. But like they could have done that in a much better way to explain why all of that happened in the first place. And it turns out they did. And just maybe we'll never see it. So I'm hoping that they do release that content.
They should.
Whenever they do like the DVD or 4K Blu-ray, whatever. I definitely hope they include that scene or all those scenes or all the explanations. And then like maybe people could re-review the movie and be like, 'cause who knows, right? Maybe they genuinely came out with like a really good explanation for it, but we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely wouldn't have saved the whole movie, but it would have made it a lot better. And
But if it made sense from the beginning, because the whole point is that it just doesn't make sense why Palpatine is there.
Yeah.
But if they at least came up with a good reasoning for why he actually is still alive, then okay, that like redeems the movie a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the issue with the movie was it was just cut, cut, cut. We go here, we go here, we go here, and didn't really elaborate how or why they're doing it.
Yeah,
And that's where the expedition comes in.
yeah,
Something you
exactly.
need in a movie.
So, yeah, it was very disappointing.
I think they got confused with that and filler. Like, we don't like filler. If you're just adding stuff to make it longer, yeah, nobody wants to see that. But if there's a good reason for it, like that's a freaking good reason to add a half an hour into the movie.
Oh, for sure, especially when that's literally what the whole movie is based off of.
Yeah.
And it's not just based off of that, but you're bringing back literally the one character that connects
The whole
all
franchise.
9 movies.
Yeah.
Except technically he didn't really connect these last three until they decided to bring him into it.
Yeah, he wasn't supposed to.
And then you find out like, oh, he's been behind it the whole time because he was technically Snoke. So it's like, okay, I guess technically he brings that. But if you do that now, then yeah, he's behind like the bad stuff that happens in all three trilogies. Like, you need to focus on that. He's a big deal. So that was disappointing to hear because it shouldn't have been cut, in my opinion.
I agree.
And then one of the actors too that was in it, was it Monaghan? Dominic Monaghan from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he was in it, which I thought was weird that he was in it because he played such a small role. I was like, why would you get like a pretty decently well-known actor?
Well, there was an actress, a well-known actress that was playing Poe's like ex-girlfriend, the one with the armor. They gave him like the key, and they had like this fling or something, and they didn't elaborate on it.
Wait, who?
It was that person. They go into this planet and they're trying to sneak in to grab something because they need this key, I guess, to go into like the Imperial.
Oh,
ship.
yeah, you're talking about on The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm forgetting her name.
Not
but
The Last Jedi. The Rise of Skywalker. In The Rise of Skywalker, there was this person.
Okay, yeah, and it turns out that she was also a stormtrooper that ran away.
Yeah, or something like that.
Yeah. What about it?
Or not a stormtrooper. It was Poe. It was Poe's like fling person.
Poe. Oh, Poe. Sorry.
Yeah, not Finn. Poe.
Yeah, I was thinking of Finn.
No.
Yeah. On
So,
that random like
planet,
scary looking planet. Yeah.
Yeah. So she is actually a big actress too. Apparently.
But you never see her face.
And you never see her face, and she barely had any screen time. And so one of the reviewers that I was watching talking about this movie, they're like, J.J. Abrams just brought all his friends, said, hey, here's this tiny part, here's $1 million. Like, come on by. Because I guess he and her were like close friends, and she's in a bunch of his movies, and so was the guy from Lord of the Rings. Like, he's, I guess, was in a bunch of Abrams movies too. And there's like this whole conspiracy theory that he just like brought him in, just like help them out and pay them a lot of money.
Huh.
But
well,
it was weird.
It's funny. Yeah. I just think it's like, if you're going to show someone like that, because like they did hidden characters, like obviously like Daniel Craig is a huge actor.
Yeah.
And like he was a stormtrooper and stuff. So like I'm fine with them doing that little stuff that, it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And then you find out about it and you're like, oh, that's cool.
Or like Brad Pitt in the Deadpool.
Yeah. Or like it turned out when they were filming that last episode in The Mandalorian, they didn't have enough outfits, like stormtrooper outfits, to fill up the screen with that many stormtroopers. So Favre, I always forget his last name or how to say it. Favre, I think. The person behind the series hit up literally like a local stormtrooper like Star Wars club, and was just like, hey, do you all have like stormtrooper outfits? And they all said yes. And he was like, hey, do you guys want to be in this last episode, because we need extra stand-ins for stormtroopers? So like half the stormtroopers in that last episode are literally just like Star Wars fans.
That's so cool.
They got to act in that episode. Like, isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Like, that's so cool when you like hear stuff like that. And then Bill Burr was giving an interview. I can't remember who it was with, but I think it might have been actually on H3 or something. They were talking about The Mandalorian and like how he got the part. And he said like he went to some party or something, and Favre was there, just like sitting on a couch, and they were just talking. And he was just like, hey, what do you know about Star Wars? And he was like, I don't know. Like, I've heard of it, but I've never been a huge fan, but it's cool. And he was like, well, I'm doing the new Star Wars. Would you like to be in it? And he was like, it was literally like that simple. He was like, you want to be in it? He was like, well, sure. He was like, I really think you're going to like this. It'll be really cool. He's like, all right, cool. Just, call my agent. They'll talk to you and they'll set up a date. Like, it was literally just like a tiny little just like conversation, like with some drinks at a party.
That's so funny.
Um, yeah, and then it was funny because Bill Burr went on in that interview and they were talking about how like he's randomly like in really small parts in a lot of like really good shows and movies. Like, dude, he was in Breaking Bad,
Yeah.
and like his character was small, but like Breaking Bad's one of the greatest shows of all time, and somehow like Bill Burr ends up on that. But it was cool how he was talking about it in a different interview. And he was like, he was a crazy huge fan of the show before he was even on it. And then like, he was like lucky to even get a chance to be on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like freaking out every time. Like he said, the episode where it takes place of Jesse and Walter White down in the lab. And I think it's the Fly episode where it's just a really slow episode of them talking to each other in the lab or whatever.
Yeah.
Bill Burr was like, yeah, like when Jesse's standing on the staircase or something and Walter's talking to him right next to him, he's like, I'm standing right behind the camera. So every time that episode comes on, he just like starts yelling at his wife. He's just like, I'm standing right there. I'm standing right there just watching this. That was kind of cool though. Like people actually that are famous that are actually they're fans of the show, and then like for them to actually be on it, like it's a big deal to them instead of it just being about like, oh, here's my next thing or whatever. Like they actually care about what they're on.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun. But it's kind of true that like he's been in a few like really awesome things randomly when you wouldn't consider him at all like a great actor or anything like that. He's just kind of like a normal guy.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we can wrap it up there. I'm hungry. Alex's hungry. We got to go eat. So that'll do it for episode 5 of the Co-op Zone. You can find us on Twitter at the Coop Zone 1. You can find me at Dane Alexander 62 on Instagram and Twitter. And Alec, they can find you,
you can find me everywhere. Elek Batoczki. Basically, all my handles: Batoczki or Elek Batoczki. Just about on any platform.
Batoczki. So that'll do it today. And then next episode will be about Alex's experience with the Switch and Zelda, and get into some stats about next gen consoles. And that will be a fun episode. So hope you guys enjoyed this one, and we'll see you next week for another episode. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
All right.